Hi, welcome to another Django in June video lesson. The tune this time around is Double Whiskey, also called Double Scotch, which is a tune written by Django Reinhardt in the later period of his career. It's a rhythm changes tune, which means it's based on the chord progression to the standard George Gershwin tune, I've Got Rhythm. And it features a very sort of bebop-y melody influenced by people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. So what I thought would be fun to do today is continue our process of learning how to improvise by learning melodies and seeing what they can teach us. And particularly the bridge of this tune has a great melody. If you're relatively new to improvising in a jazz setting and you want to work on your phrasing and creating more sort of idiomatic jazz lines, more sort of bebop flavored lines, say, this is a great tune to get your start. Real quick, let's just listen to what the bridge of this tune sounds like. So you can see these are sort of different lines than we've worked on in some of our other lessons. And so if you're new to playing lines like this, getting a melody down is pretty achievable and will give you a nice way in. And I figure a beautiful next step would be to take that melody on that bridge and use it as inspiration for some other lines, some other things we could create. So I'll give you some sort of strategies for how to do that now. So one of the best things about great jazz composers and improvisers is their rhythmic phrasing. So in the lesson today, I'm going to focus more on the phrasing, the sort of both the rhythm of the melody and the shape of the melody. We could talk about how this melody relates to the harmony of the chord progression, and it's actually very interesting what Django does, but I figure that's sort of a topic for another day. I'd really, more than anything, like to focus on the rhythm of this bridge line. So let's hear what that sounds like with just a C note. Just take away all the melody notes and just play the rhythm. So you can hear that right there could be a solo idea in of itself. You could pick any appropriate note in your solo and play something like that, and it would work, and it would be fun. Idea number 2 is to take that rhythm and then put really whatever notes you want inside that rhythm. So if we took a standard chord progression like All of Me, say, where the first 2 chords are C major and E7, and we could just pick a line that sort of highlights key notes from that arpeggio. So let's hear how that might sound. Okay, so you can see this is really a different line. It's sort of using a C major 7 arpeggio mostly, landing on the 6, ultimately, that A natural, and then doing a little chromatic approach to the 3rd of the E7, and then continuing up the arpeggio, then doing a little zeroing in on the root an octave higher. But it's not so important that you actually learn this phrase as long as you get the idea and you can make your own phrases. using this rhythm. And I'd encourage you to do it on a lot of different tunes. Just cook something up and practice playing it and fitting it in. Now, another aspect of phrasing, to me, is sort of the shape of the melody and the way that shape relates to the rhythm. So, where inside the rhythm are there wider interval jumps, or do you start going up or down and change direction melodically? And all of that stuff affects how the rhythm sounds and feels. So we can learn maybe more specifically from that original bridge melody by following the sort of melodic shape of that line a little closer. So we could do something that would fit over the first 4 bars of the A sections of Double Whiskey. So something that would fit over C major to A minor to D minor 7 to G7. And really all we have to do is change about 3 or 4 notes from the original line. So let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so there's another line we can play over the same tune. And we haven't changed that many notes. Now, as far as what I was saying about the melodic shape affecting the flavor of the rhythm, it's the kind of thing that I don't think we need to make rules for. I don't have a prescribed formula for you. I think the best thing is to absorb real examples by real great players and composers like Django Reinhardt. But I will make one little observation about this particular line, which is sort of at the halfway point. If the melody, the original melody is that F natural, we're coming from B to F natural, so there's a pretty wide intervallic leap and a kind of an interval with lots of personality. That leap is happening at sort of the height of some syncopation. We're ending off the beat. We're coming from probably the most syncopated part of that melodic fragment, because we've got, so that's sort of syncopation number 1 is how we're ending on the offbeat with that C natural, and then we come in on the offbeat again and land on that B natural on beat 2, and then that F natural is on the and after 2, so. And I think that melodic leap really highlights how satisfying that syncopation is. So just to get a sense of that, let's just take the first 4 notes of a major scale, a C major scale, from the top to the bottom, so F to C. So just something really simple. And if we did a really simple rhythm with a little syncopation at the end, so we'll just do 4 eighth notes in a row, so 1 and 2 and. So starts on the beat, but ends off the beat. And if we just play, so a 1, 2, 3, 4, because of the shape of that melody, that syncopation feels very mild to me. Now, if we made that C an octave higher, where all of a sudden we were playing a big leap, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of a sudden, by virtue of that note coming out in this sort of more surprising space, it sort of heightens the surprise that the syncopation gives us. So, once again, I don't really have any rules, but I think there's something to that, and I think it's not bad to be aware of that, and just put that in your back pocket as something to think about later. One that follows the shape of the melody very closely would be this next phrase that would fit over the first 4 bars of Exactly Like You. So let's take a listen to that. So this was something that I think if I hadn't been looking at the melody of this tune, I might not have dreamt up this phrase, but I like it. The part that I like for me is there's this nice kind of enclosure around the G that takes a sort of the scenic route to highlighting the G instead of, or we've got this. So that's something that even if I don't play that whole 4-bar phrase, I have a new little melodic shape that I'm gonna use more often. Alright, let's just look at one more example so we have something to do in a minor key. We can take Swing Jeton, which we were looking at, and maybe here's something we could do over the first 4 bars of Swing Jeton. And with this, we'll sort of mix and match. So we'll do a little bit of sticking to that original melodic shape, and then going off in a different direction. So let's hear that. So nice, once again we have a little line. This time it's starting on the 6 of the minor 6 chord. And it sticks with that leap down an octave and then sort of climbing back up. And we get to even keep that little tritone interval because that's the 6th to the minor 3rd of G minor. But then for the sort of answering phrase, we're really just using a device that Django used a lot, especially in the later part of his career, which was using sort of a mode of harmonic minor over a dominant chord. So in this case, A7. And you would use sort of the notes of D harmonic minor from A to A. So there's one little G sharp leading tone there in the lick. And for those who don't like to think in terms of scales, just learn this little melodic pattern. So it'd be A, G, F, E, D, C sharp, B flat, A. And so hopefully these little examples inspire you to make up your own ideas. It's not so important to me that you learn any of these examples. They're really more to give you a sense of the possibilities. They're invitations to make up your own licks, so you can play just the rhythm with 1 or 2 notes. You can use the rhythm with any notes you want. You can keep the melodic shape, but augment it or change it or transpose it to fit another tune or another kind of chord. And you can just hum these things. And in these examples, I'm staying pretty literal with everything. But you can also just take these things in a slightly broader sense and hum that original melody and just make up something kind of like it and not have to count everything out. And these are all things that will help build your vocabulary and give you a deeper connection to the style. So hopefully you have fun with that, and happy practicing.